lesson for today is all about sentence patterns. So you can learn from this topic no matter what year level or grade level you are in the junior high school, or maybe if you just feel like relearning it. So let's start. This is your teacher, Sam, and I will be helping you out today. All right. So for today's missions, we have the following. The first one is for us to review what transitive or intransitive verbs are. Second, we shall discuss the basic sentence patterns. And finally, to test if we have learned something from today, we shall answer a very, very short drill. Are you ready? Okay, let's begin. So let's start with transitive or intransitive verb. I guess you have heard about these two types of verbs. Let's review what they're all about. So for transitive verb, let me just use my laser pointer. So for transitive verb, this is one that only makes sense if it exerts its action on an object, meaning this action word needs to have a receiver. Okay? Then for intransitive verb, this will make sense without a receiver, without an object. Okay? So for example, we have the following sentences. My sister plays video games after school. My sister plays after school. My friend posts memes every day. My friend posts every day. So now, let's identify if the underlined verbs function as transitive or intransitive. So for the first sentence, we have my sister plays video games after school. So we have here our verb plays. What is my sister playing after school? Right, so my sister plays video games. Now, since the action word plays has a receiver, which is the video games, plays in the first sentence functions as a transitive verb. Okay, let's go to the next sentence. My sister plays after school. So we have the verb again, which is plays. And in this sentence, can you see what my sister plays after school? We can't tell, right? So there is no receiver. The sentence simply says, my sister plays after school, but we don't know what exactly she is playing. In that case, since there is no receiver of the action, our verb in sentence number 2 functions as an intransitive verb. Next, let's go to sentence number 3. My friend posts memes every day. What does my friend post every day? Memes, right? So since the action posts has a receiver, which is memes, our verb posts functions as a transitive verb. Next, fourth sentence. My friend posts every day. What does my friend post? Okay, so we can't determine. We don't know in sentence number 4 what is posted by my friend every day. So since there is no receiver of the action of posting, our verb functions as an intransitive verb. Is it clear? Okay, so let's now clear the screen and move to the next slide. Okay, so now is your chance to practice. Is the sentence on the screen using a transitive or an intransitive verb? Let me give you 2 minutes to answer. Your timer starts now. right, time is up. So let's now answer if the verb that you see per sentence is a transitive or an intransitive verb. So number one, the committee members raise money for the typhoon victims. What do the committee members raise for the typhoon victims? Right, so this gives us money as the answer. And money is the receiver of the action of being raised. Since raise has a receiver in this sentence, our verb functions as a transitive verb. Okay? Next, let's go to number two. The participants shared in the open forum. What did the participants share in the open forum? I don't know, right? We can't say because it's not mentioned in the sentence. So since shared does not have a receiver, the verb functions as an intransitive verb. Next, number three. My friend called last night. Okay. What or who did my friend call last night? Okay. Same as number two, the object or the receiver is not stated. So since call does not have a receiver, this functions as an intransitive verb. Next, number four, my parents celebrated their anniversary. What did my parents celebrate? Okay, so they celebrated their anniversary. Now, since the action celebrated has a receiver, which is the anniversary, our verb celebrated functions as a transitive verb. All right. Did you get it right? Perfect. Okay, so if you have questions, please comment them down in the comment section below. Okay, so now let us proceed to our main lesson, and that is the basic sentence patterns. Okay, maybe you're wondering, teacher, why did we learn about intransitive and transitive verbs first? That is because it is very important for you to differentiate the two, because these will be very essential in identifying the pattern of your sentence. Okay, so like I said, these are the basic sentence patterns. So we have SIV, which is composed of subject and intransitive verb. Next, we have STVDO, or subject, transitive verb, and direct object. Next, we have STVIODO. So we have subject, transitive verb, indirect object, and direct object. Fourth, we have STVDOOC. It's subject, transitive verb, direct object, and object complement. Fifth, we have SLVPN. It's composed of subject, the linking verb, and predicate nominative or predicate noun. And finally, we have SLVPA. We have subject, linking verb, plus the predicate adjective. So again, these are the basic sentence patterns. Okay, let's now proceed to the next slide. So now we will learn the basic sentence patterns one by one, starting with SIV, or subject and intransitive verb. Okay, so before we go to our sample sentences for analysis, let us first define what subject and intransitive verbs are. Okay, so when we say subject, these are the topics, or this is the main topic of our sentence, meaning this is what we are talking about in the sentence. Okay, while an intransitive verb, you've known it from earlier's lesson, an intransitive verb is a verb that does not need a receiver of the action. So let's now go to our sample sentences. Number one, The class worked hard. Okay, so what is our subject in this sentence? We have the word class. Okay, and our verb is worked. Okay, does it say what the class is working on? Are they working on a project? Are they working on a performance? Okay, it is not mentioned in this sentence. So the verb worked, since it doesn't have a receiver, it functions as an intransitive verb, right? Next, let's go to number 2. The student laughed loudly during the activity. We have the subject, student, and the verb, which is laughed. Okay. Does it say what the student laughed about? No. Okay, so since there is no receiver of the action, our verb laughed here functions as an intransitive verb. Okay, the other details in the sentence are merely modifiers. Okay, so we have loudly, which is an adverb, and we have during the activity, which is a phrase modifier. Okay, so there's actually a trick here so that you'll know or you can identify the pattern more easily. Okay, so as you can see, what I did in sentence number 2 is to cancel out or delete the modifiers in the sentence. Okay, so if we remove loudly during the activity, what will remain are the words the student left. And that is actually pretty easier, to identify, since we only have student, which is a subject, and left. Okay, and although you remove the modifiers in the sentence, the sentence the student laughed is still a complete sentence and expresses a complete thought. Okay, next, let's go to number 3. My classmate and I listened carefully during the class discussion. Okay, so what is our subject in this sentence? We have my classmate and I. Okay, subject. And what is our verb in the sentence? We have listened. Okay, what did my classmate and I listen to? All right, we don't know. It's not stated in the sentence. So listened here only functions as an intransitive verb. Okay, so just like what we did in sentence number 2, to identify the pattern more easily, you can delete the modifiers. Okay, for example, carefully is an adverb, so we can delete that. During class discussion is a phrase modifier, so we can also remove that. Okay, so what will be left are the words my classmate and I, okay, which is your subject, and listened, which is your intransitive verb. Clear? Excuse me. All right, next, let's go to number 4. The little girl eats while doing her assignment. What is our subject in this sentence? We have the little girl. And what is the verb in the sentence? We have eats. What is the little girl eating? Okay, we don't know. It's not mentioned. So there is no receiver of the action of being eaten, right? So eats here only functions as an intransitive verb. Okay, so we have here while doing her assignment, which is a clause, okay, clause modifiers. We can actually remove that so that it would be easier for us to see the pattern. Okay, and finally, for sentence number 5, we have the patient recovered quickly during his isolation period. What is our subject in sentence number 5? Okay, we have the patient. And what is the verb? We have recovered. Okay, so since recovered does not have an object or a receiver in this sentence, recovered becomes an intransitive verb. Okay, so for us to identify the pattern more easily, you can remove again the modifiers. Okay? Quickly, which is an adverb, and during his isolation period, which is a phrase modifier. So what we actually have are the main words in this sentence are only the patient recovered. Okay. All right. Do you have any question? Is everything clear so far? If you have any questions, again, please feel free to send them down the comment section. Okay, now that you have learned all about the subject and the intransitive verb pattern, let's now go to the second pattern. This time, it is composed of subject, transitive verb, and direct object. So before we go to the sample sentences, let us first define what these parts are. Okay, so you know what the subject is. Again, it is the topic of the sentence. How about the intransitive verbs? So this is from the lesson earlier. Transitive verbs are verbs that need to have receivers, need to have objects. Okay. How about direct object? So direct object are the objects that receive the transitive verb. Okay, so direct objects answer the questions what or who. Okay, and they could be nouns or pronouns. Okay, so let's now go to this slide. So we have here the sample sentences for subject, transitive verb, and direct object. Okay, so let's start with number 1. The teacher addressed the students' questions. What is our subject in this sentence? So we have teacher. What is our verb? We have addressed. Okay, let's see if we have a receiver of the action in sentence 1. What did the teacher address? She addressed the students' questions. Okay, so students' questions here act as our direct object. Okay, so since we have the receiver of the action or the DO, our verb addressed becomes a transitive verb. Okay. Next, let's go to number 2. Warm weather encourages plant growth. What is our subject in sentence number 2? We have warm weather. Subject. And what is our verb in this sentence? We have encourages. What does warm weather encourage? It encourages plant growth. So plant growth here becomes our direct object. Since we have a receiver of the action, encourages becomes a transitive verb. All right. Next, number 3. I updated my Zoom app for the video filters. Okay, so what is our subject in this sentence? We have I, subject. And what is our verb in sentence 3? We have updated. So this is our verb. What did I update? I updated my Zoom app. Okay, so my Zoom app is our direct object or receiver of the action. So since we have a direct object, updated functions as a transitive verb. Now, like I said earlier, to make identification of the sentence pattern easier for us, we can cross out modifiers such as adjectives, adverbs, clause, and phrase modifiers. And yeah, just like for the video filters. Next, number 4. Mom and Dad donated food to the evacuation center. Okay, so what is our subject in the sentence? We have mom and I. Okay, and our verb is donated. What did mom and I donate? We donated food. Okay, so since we can tell our receiver, which is food, our direct object, okay, our verb donated functions as a transitive verb. And again, we can remove the phrase modifiers and all the other modifiers in the sentence just to make sure that we have the correct pattern. Okay, next. Last sentence, number 5. The students attended the limited face-to-face classes. Okay, what is our subject in this sentence? So we have students. And our verb is attended. What did the students attend? The limited face-to-face classes. Okay, so limited face-to-face classes acts as our direct object. So since we have a receiver, attended functions as a transitive verb. Okay, so as you can see, all of these 5 sentences use the STVDO pattern. All right, now let's go to the slide. So after learning about the SIV, the STVDO pattern, we shall move on to the third pattern, which is subject, TV, IO, and DO. Okay, so now you have already heard or known about the definition of a subject, a TV, and a DO. So this time, let us review what IO means and what its function in the sentence is. Okay, so in this slide, we have anything about indirect objects. So the first one says that the IOs receive the direct object. Okay, so second, it always comes before the direct object. And third, it answers the question for whom or to whom. Okay, so let's analyze it better as we go to our sample sentences. Number 1, Grandma sent Rose some home-cooked meals. So what is our subject in this sentence? We have Grandma. Okay, what is our verb? We have sent. What did Grandma send? She sent some home-cooked meals. This is our direct object, right? So since we have a DO, sent here becomes our transitive verb. Now, for whom are these home-cooked meals? For whom? Okay, this is for Rose. Okay, so Rose here acts as our indirect object. Is it clear? Okay, let's try one more sentence. Number 2, my classmates lend me their notes when I miss a class. Okay, so what is our subject in the sentence? We have my classmates. My classmates is our subject. What is our verb? Our verb is lend. What do my classmates lend? They lend me their notes. Okay, their notes. So their notes or notes here functions as the direct object. Now, for whom or to whom are these notes? Okay, so the notes or these notes are for me. Okay, so again, to make identifying the pattern easier for you, you can cross out or remove phrase clause modifiers or simply one-word adverbs. Okay, now let's go to sentence number 3. Maggie gave Kara some tips for their group presentation. Okay, what is our subject? So we have Maggie. What is our verb? We have gave. What did Maggie give? Tips, right? Or some tips. So since tips is our receiver of the action, it's our DO in the sentence. So that becomes gave, our transitive verb. Now, for whom or to whom are these tips given? Okay, these tips are for Kara. So Kara here is our indirect object. So again, you can cross out the modifiers in your sentence to make identification easier. Next, number 4. Junatsuki gave the Philippines its second gold medal in the Karate Premier League. Okay, so what is our subject in this sentence? We have Junatsuki. Our verb is gave. What did Junatsuki give? She gave the second gold medal. Okay, so gold medal or its second gold medal functions as our direct object, meaning gave here becomes our transitive verb. Now, let's ask the question. So for whom is this gold medal? To whom was the gold medal given? Okay, so the gold medal was given by Junatsuki to the Philippines. So Philippines here acts as our indirect object. Okay, so again, this is what I have been telling you to make identifying the pattern easier. You can remove the phrase and gloss modifiers and all the other modifiers in the sentence. All right, so that is it for the STVIODO pattern. Again, if you have questions, please don't forget to type them down below. By the way, so when you are tasked to construct sentences using the STVIODO pattern, these verbs or this list of verbs might be very helpful for you. So we can use give, make, bake, lend, hand, paint, draw, award, buy, get, send, sell, grant, and write. Okay, so you can practice constructing sentences using these verbs later. Why only these 14 verbs? Actually, there are more, but the most common verbs that you see or that are being used for STVIODO patterns are these words. Okay? If you know more words or you know more verbs that can be used for an STVIODO sentence, please type them down in the comment section. Okay, now let's move on to our fourth sentence pattern. So this is STVDOOC. Okay, so you know what a subject is, you know what a transitive verb and a direct object are. Now, let's talk about object complement. Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide or the information about OCs. So first, an OC can either be a noun or an adjective. Next, it comes after the direct object. So placement here is very, very important. Third, object complement renames or modifies the DO. Okay, so this is its specific role in the sentence. It can rename or it can describe the direct object. Now, let's go to our sample sentences. Okay, so number 1 is the students call Monique Superwoman. What is our subject in this sentence? We have students. And what is our verb? We have call. What or who did the students call? They called Monique. So Monique here is our direct object or receiver of the verb. So that means call here is our TV or transitive verb. Now, what did the students call Monique? Okay, so they called Monique Superwoman. Okay, so superwoman here is our object complement. Remember, an OC could be a noun or an adjective. Okay, so since we have superwoman, which is a noun, a superwoman here renames our DO Monique. Okay, next, let's go to sentence number 2. My advisor made me the class beadle. What is our subject in this sentence? We have advisor. Advisor is our subject. What is our verb in the sentence? We have made. Okay. What or who did my advisor make? Me. So me here is our direct object. Okay. Now, what did my advisor make me? Or make me as? Okay, so he or she made me the class beadle. So class beadle here is an OC, specifically a noun that renames the direct object, which is me. Okay, next let's go to sentence number 3. Pag-asa named the typhoon Odette. Okay, so what is our subject? We have Pag-asa. What is our verb? We have named. What did Pag-asa name? Okay, the word is typhoon. So typhoon here is the receiver of the action. Meaning, name here is a transitive verb. Now, Odette here is an object complement that is specifically a noun. Okay, and Odette renames our direct object, which is typhoon. Next, number 4. The residents found the typhoon very alarming. So what is our subject in the sentence? We have residents. What is our verb? Found. What did the residents find? The typhoon. DO. Okay, so we have here very alarming. Alarming. How did the residents find the typhoon? Okay, so for them, they describe the typhoon as very alarming. So alarming here is our object complement, but this time it is an adjective, and its function is that in the sentence is to describe our direct object, which is the typhoon. Clear? Okay, so now let's go to the 5th example. Filipinos consider frontliners modern-day heroes. Okay, what is our subject? We have Filipinos. How about our verb? We have consider. What or who do Filipinos consider? Okay, so we have frontliners. Frontliners here is our DO. Since we have the DO, which is the receiver of the action, consider here becomes our transitive verb. Okay. All right, so how do Filipinos consider frontliners? They consider them as modern-day heroes. Okay, they are modern-day heroes. Okay, so modern-day heroes here is our OC, which renames our direct object, which is frontliners. Clear so far, everyone? Okay, I hope you are still with me, right? I know as we progress, it gets a little bit more challenging or difficult, but we can do it. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. So in this next slide, we have another list of common verbs that we can use for an STVDOOC sentence. So we have 1, find, 2, consider, 3, elect, 4, make, 5, name, 6, call, 7, crown. Okay, so again, there are more verbs that we can use. So if you know or if you can add to the list, please type them down in the comment section below. Okay, so okay. Now let's go to the fifth sentence pattern, and that is SLVPN. Okay, so again, you have learned what a subject is. However, this might be less familiar with others. Okay, so in this pattern, we make use of linking verbs and predicate nominatives or predicate nouns. Okay, so now let's go to the next slide for us to know the functions of these two other parts in this pattern. So let's go to the linking verb. So we have, these are the linking verbs that we use. So for helping verbs, we have is, am, are, was, were, be, being, and been. For sense verbs, we have look, taste, smell, feel, and sound. For verbs, other verbs we can use become, seem, appear, grow, stay, and turn. Okay? Now, what is a PN? Okay, let's go back. What is a PN? So a PN simply renames the subject. Okay, it could rename or it could identify what the subject is. Let's now go to the next slide for our sentences. Number 1, my dad is a lawyer. What is our subject in sentence number 1? We have dad or my dad. Okay, now what is our verb in this sentence? Okay, we have is. So if you would go back to the list, is a linking verb. Okay, LV. Alright, so now we have the word lawyer. Lawyer is a noun and it identifies or renames the subject, which is my dad. Okay? The end. Next, number 2. The student council president is my friend. What is our subject in the sentence? We have the student council president. Oh, sorry. President. It's part of the circle. Okay, SC president. What is our verb? Our verb is. Okay, so specifically, this is our linking verb. All right, how about friend? Friend here is a noun that renames or identifies the subject, which is student council president. Okay, next, number 3. I am an achiever. What is our subject? We have I. What is our verb? We have am. Okay, again, you can go back to the list I showed you earlier. Am is a linking verb. Okay, and we have the word achiever. What am I? I am an achiever. So achiever here identifies or renames the subject. That's SLVPN. 4th, we have Mark is the class clown. What is our subject? We have Mark. How about our verb? Okay, our verb is, and specifically it is a linking verb. All right, so who is Mark? Okay, the class clown. So class clown or clown is the PN or the predicate nominative which renames or identifies our subject, which is Mark. Okay, and finally, my advisor is Miss Santos. What is our subject in this sentence? Okay, so we have my advisor, subject. How about our verb? We have is. Okay, so is our linking verb in the sentence. Okay, so let's now go to the next slide. So this is already the last pattern that we will learn today. So we have the SLVPA pattern. So you already know what a subject is, right? You also know what linking verbs are. Now let's talk about the predicate adjective. So from the word itself, adjective, meaning it's simply a descriptive word, okay, that is used to describe the subject or modify the subject. Okay, so let us again review the list of linking verbs. Now let's go to the slide for our sample sentences for analysis. Number 1, the students are well informed. What is our subject in sentence 1? Here we have students. Good job. Okay, how about our verb in the sentence? Okay, our verb here is are. Are is a linking verb. Okay, so after the linking verb, we have the word well informed. Okay, well informed is our adjective or a predicate adjective, which describes our subject, the students. Okay, the students are well informed. Next, number 2, Filipinos are dissatisfied with the country's pandemic response. Okay, what is our subject in the sentence? We have Filipinos, subject. How about our verb? We have are. Okay, are is a linking verb. All right, now after the linking verb, we have the word dissatisfied. Okay, dissatisfied here is our adjective, which describes our subject, okay, which is the Filipinos, or the word Filipinos. Okay, so like I said earlier, if you have modifiers in the sentence, you may simply cross them out, okay, to make identification less challenging. Next, number 3, the healthcare workers remain dedicated in fulfilling their duty. Okay, so if you're confused, again, you may eliminate first the phrase modifier in the sentence. And after you do that, focus on what are the words that are left. Okay, so number 3, what is our subject here? We have healthcare workers. Healthcare workers as our subject. And what is our verb? We have remain. Okay, so if you would go back to the list earlier, remain can also function as a linking verb. Okay, but teacher, why? Isn't it just is, am, are, was, were, and so on and so forth? Okay, so let's try a technique today. Let's try to replace remain with the common LVs or linking verbs that you know of. Okay, so we have the healthcare. Let's try are. Let's replace remain with are. The healthcare workers are dedicated. Does the sentence still make sense? Okay, so since we can replace the verb with a linking verb, such as are, since healthcare workers is plural, then our sentence is still SLVPA. Okay, so after our linking verb, which is originally remain, we have our PA, which is dedicated. And this word describes our subject, healthcare workers. All right, and finally, we're down to the last sentence for analysis. So this is sentence 5. You look beautiful today. What is our subject in the sentence? We have you. How about our verb? We have look. Okay, and if you would review the list, look is actually a linking verb. Okay, and after our linking verb, we have the word beautiful, and it's our predicate adjective, describing our subject, which is you. Okay, so you look beautiful is the same as saying you are beautiful today. Okay, can replace look with are, so that is a linking verb. Okay, so that's it for today, my dear students. So we were able to learn the basic sentence patterns. Now, please answer this drill for you to apply, okay, or to test or to self-assess if you have understood the lesson very well. So I have prepared here 10 items, and all you have to do is to type or write down the letter of the correct answer. Okay, please don't guess. Make sure to analyze each sentence. I'll give you maybe 5 minutes to answer the drill. And afterwards, let's check it together. Go. Okay, are you finished? Okay, let's now check your answers. Number 1. My siblings and I cleaned our rooms. Okay, let's identify first our subject. My siblings and I. How about our verb? So we have cleaned. What did my siblings and I clean? We cleaned our rooms. Okay, rooms here is our receiver of the action or our direct object, which means that cleaned functions as our transitive verb. So your answer for number 1 should be letter B. Next, I gave my best friend a gift. What is our subject in the sentence? We have I. How about our verb? Okay, we have gave. Okay, what did I give? A gift. Okay, so a gift, or a gift here is our direct object. Okay, for whom was the gift? To whom did I give the gift to? I gave it to my best friend. So my best friend here acts as our indirect object. Okay, next, number 3. The little girl named her pet Whitey. What is our subject? Our subject is little girl. How about our verb? We have name, named. Okay, what did the little girl name? She named her pet, B-O. Okay, so that makes named our transitive verb. Okay, what did the little girl name her pet? She named the pet Whitey. Whitey here is a noun, okay, or what we call as object complement, identifying or renaming the direct object. Okay, so your answer for number 3 should be STVDOOC. Sorry, I wasn't able to write the answer for number 2. It should be STVDIODO. Now, let's go to number 4. Mike is a content creator. So we have our subject Mike. And is obviously our linking verb. And content creator is our PN, which renames our subject Mike. Who is Mike? He is a content creator. Okay, so the answer here is E. Next, number 5. My phone is very useful. Our subject here is my phone. Is obviously a linking verb. So all you have to identify now is useful a noun or an adjective? Okay, of course it's an adjective. It's our PA, which describes our subject, which is my phone. Okay, so the answer here should be letter F. Okay, so B, C, D, E, F. How are your scores so far? Okay, let's now continue with the next slide. The athletes trained yesterday. Okay, so our athletes here is our subject. Trained is our verb. And what did the athletes train for? Okay, so we don't know, right? It's not stated in the sentence. So trained here is our intransitive verb, since trained does not have an object or a receiver. It only has yesterday, which is an adverb of time. So this is a modifier which we can actually ignore. Okay, so the pattern is actually just SIV. So answer for number 6 is A. Next, 7. Anne's voice sounds angelic. Okay, so we have our subject here, which is Anne's voice. Our verb is sounds. Okay, so sounds is a linking verb. Why? Okay. Of course, aside from it being part of the list I showed you earlier, you can actually replace it with the usual linking verbs or helping verbs that we know. So for instance, Anne's voice is angelic, right? So since sounds can also function as a linking verb, okay, we write it down there. SLV and angelic is obviously an adjective. So PA, which describes our subject and voice. Okay, now let's go to number 8. The girl on TV is my idol. What is our subject? Now, girl. Okay, what is our linking verb? Okay, we have is, LV. What about idol? Is it a PN or a PA? So it's our predicate noun. Idol renames the girl or identifies the girl. Okay, so like I said, you can remove phrase modifiers to make the sentence shorter, making it easier for you to identify the pattern. Okay, so the answer here is SLVPN. And the answer for 7 is SLVPA. Right? Okay, next, number 9. I consider you as my friend. I consider you my friend. Our subject is I. Our verb is consider. What or who do I consider? I consider you. You here is our DO. So that means consider becomes our transitive verb. Okay, so what about friend? Friend here is our OC. Okay, so it's a noun renaming the direct object you. Okay, so it's STUVDOOC. Answer here is D. And finally, for number 10, my sister handed me the camera. Subject, sister. Handed is our verb. What did my sister hand? My sister handed me the camera. Camera here is our DO. For whom is the camera? Oh, by the way, since our action or our verb has a receiver, handed here becomes our transitive verb. Now, for whom is the camera? Or to whom will the camera be handed? To me. So me here is our I. So answer for number 10 is letter C. AFEDC. Okay, so how was it? Were you able to ace this drill? Do you have any question? Should you still be confused, please feel free to send me your questions, and I'll try my best to respond to you in the comment section. Okay, so that is it for today, my dear students, and you did a great job. Okay, so continue learning and stay safe. Bye.